No, they call me the Doctor.
Why don't you just call me Doctor?
I am the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor. You may be a doctor, but I'm the Doctor.
I'm called the Doctor.
I am the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
I am the Doctor!
He is a doctor.
Doctor? Of what? I'm sure the man has no academic standing whatsoever.
Have we begun?
We have begun.
Oh my god! Welcome back! How have you been, Pants? I agree. 2022 has started off a big pregnant pause.
I still hate pregnant pauses. I feel very rusty. Yeah, sure. Take drinks like on mic. It sounds really good.
I'm also rusty.
Is that why you're taking a drink?
Yeah, I forgot that you can literally hear everything.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, we're back.
Hi.
Hello. And if you subscribe to our feed already, you will either be happy or very disappointed to know that we are not doing movies any longer. We have changed the format of the show, the purpose of the show, and everything about it, except for us, really. We've changed location. We've changed mics. I'm in a cat-filled room, and yeah, we're doing it from Tina's house now.
My cat-filled room.
Yes, it's a lovely scent.
Anyways.
Oh, yes.
So, if you are back or if this is your first time, welcome.
Yes.
And it might be a little different, but we really hope you stick around because it's fun.
Yeah. And so sorry for commandeering the feed that you already subscribed to get the audience we already had. So of the 40 people that were subscribed, if 5 of you stick around, I'll be super jazzed about that.
Yeah, jazz hands.
Indeed. So from now on, we are going to be watching the entirety of classic Doctor Who, starting with the 1963 pilot episode. And we're doing so via BritBox, which is a subscription service that has a bunch of British stuff. So if that's your thing, it's like $7.
Most of those shows are on other streaming platforms. However, thank you BritBox for providing us with Doctor Who.
Indeed. The one thing I use BritBox for is Doctor Who because everything else is worthless to me. So I'm paying $8 a month for this podcast, pretty much. So
that's fine. All access Doctor Who.
Indeed.
Yep.
Indeed. So Tina, what is your brief history with Doctor Who?
Oh, man, I didn't prepare.
I know.
So my brief history with Doctor Who revolves around Pants, which should be pretty obvious by now. And
for newcomers, my name is Brian.
Oh, yeah.
But
my name's also Christina, so let's get that one out there.
Okay, well, that sounds more close to Tina than Pants does to Brian. So
it's natural. Pants, Brian, tomato, potato, same thing.
Sandwich, sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So before I was interrupted, my history with Doctor Who is that Pants introduced me. And at first I hated it because the Ninth Doctor's a little rough. But then I met, David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, and I adore him. And then Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor. And all of the companions, it was a lot of fun to watch. So one thing that I wrote down that I was going to save, but I'll use now, is you really need to have an appreciation for where we came from in order to appreciate how far we've come. Like, you got to watch the oldies. You got to see where we started. That was part of the journey.
Yeah. But you, just for context purposes, you stopped after Matt Smith.
Yes.
You never made it to Capaldi or Whittaker.
Correct.
Okay.
My hope is that this will inspire me to do it again.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, your turnoff of Capaldi was, one, that he was not Matt Smith, which is understandable. And 2, you just couldn't get past like the grumpy old man exterior.
Yes.
Which is exactly what the first Doctor is.
Yeah, I know. I found it very interesting because I knew watching this that we were going to have to watch it, but I couldn't ignore the little like tingly feeling that started inside me.
In your
like,
loins.
This is no. Continue.
I understand.
I hate you.
Cool. So yeah, I got into Doctor Who in high school, maybe towards the end of high school. It came back in 2008, so I graduated in 2008, so around then.
What a nerd.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Little gay nerd. So like you, I was introduced to Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor, and I didn't have anything to compare it to, so he was fine. It was just extremely campy, and but it was entertaining to me.
I love that word.
Extremely? It's a good word.
Wow. I forgot how torturous you are. Continue.
But yeah, it's it entertained me, and you know, I knew what Doctor Who was at the time, and I had seen bits and pieces of the old stuff, and weirdly part of the 89 movie, but it was a good reboot. Like, it was a good starting point, and just like you, when Tennant came on, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
And I was like fully ready to come out at that point. I was like, yes. But and then I think Matt Smith of the new era is still my favorite Doctor. Tennant, very close second. But unlike you, I did watch Capaldi and Whittaker's run, or her continued run. And Capaldi is definitely one that grew on me. Same with Stefan, my husband, for newcomers. But he also didn't really like Capaldi at first, because he is just kind of curmudgeon, grumpy dude. But like, he has so much like heart, and that's kind of the same with Hartnell, the first Doctor. And Capaldi's last companion, Bill, is I think the first lesbian companion.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really sad that she only went one season, but she's excellent. And then Whittaker, you know, that's where we're at now, and it's good for what it is. It's very different. People hate it, but those people kind of suck and don't really get what the show is about. But yeah, for what it is, Jodie Whittaker did a great job, especially as the first female Doctor, and I hope that opens up the door for more to come. And the show's definitely always been about not fitting in and like acceptance and shit. And fans that rag on Whittaker because she's a female and they think the Doctor should be male. I mean, he's always been, or they, I guess, have always been ever changing.
No, I mean, I've definitely wanted to catch up because I do appreciate that she's a female. And I think that's super badass. But I also don't believe in skipping seasons. So
no, and you should definitely watch Capaldi.
I know.
It's actually excellent.
I'm sure it is.
Until he starts playing guitar, which some other fans love. I don't. But yeah. Anyway, so this first episode, and kind of how these podcast episodes are going to go, is we're going to split the serials into, most of the time, two different parts. And because unlike new Doctor Who, Classic did overarching serials where they had a cluster of episodes that were all under kind of the same name. It was one story over however many 20, 30-minute episodes. Like the first one we're doing today is an Unearthly Child, and it's split into 4 episodes. Today we're covering 2. Next time we'll do the next 2. And we'll just kind of split it depending on how many episodes are in each serial. So,
I'm pretty excited. It is definitely different. And I have thoughts that I'll save, but it's kind of cool.
Oh, all right.
You know,
as long as it's,
Kind of cool.
Kind of cool, whatever. Okay. So
just like any show, I'm sure I have to get in a couple episodes before I'm truly committed.
I will say the first serial for Doctor Who is rough. I think the first episode is great.
Yeah.
But the following story is not the best.
Correct.
But it gets better. So we are starting with an Unearthly Child. It was originally aired on November 23rd, 1963.
It was a Saturday.
Okay.
I looked it up for a fun fact. I wanted to know when, like what night, like
it was
the
when,
premiere of Doctor Who was like, when was that episode airing? That's different for a lot of shows. So I was just curious.
Well, do you remember where you were when JFK was assassinated?
I do.
Were you watching Doctor Who?
An egg.
Oh.
Still being developed inside of my mother.
Adorable.
Yep.
What a cute little egg.
What a cute little egg. Yep.
So yeah. So this did air the same day that JFK was assassinated, which did affect initial viewership. Because all around the world, news stations were covering that. So this one actually picked up a lot in the syndication. So when they re-aired it on whatever night they re-air stuff, that's when more people picked up on it. It was directed by Waris Hussein and written by Anthony Colburn. And it is season 1, story 1. And today we'll be covering episodes 1 and 2, An Unearthly Child and The Cave of Skulls. Mm-hmm. Indeed.
I do want to go back and just tell you that I am interested in the Stephen King novel because...
Oh, you're going way off top. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Just for you.
Sure.
But for like 2 seconds. Yeah, because it's about the time traveler that goes back on 11/22.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was really curious about it. Yeah. I don't know if it's like a horror or if it's like a fantasy novel.
Oh, you know what? I got that wrong. This was the day after he was assassinated. Cool. So I was wrong.
Okay, let's do that again.
Well, I'm not going to go all the way back.
No.
But yeah, I was definitely a day off. So this was the day after JFK was assassinated, still in the news cycle and everything, and it still affected records, yada, yada. But the day before
Gotcha.
it aired. So for all you history buffs out there.
I corrected himself.
I also corrected himself. Yeah. So yeah, the just so you know, the original conceit of Doctor Who was to have kind of an educational program for the BBC, and the original pitch was, a time traveler who can go back in time and also to the future and learn shit pretty much and teach children about, I don't know, climate change, which that worked out so well. We're burning.
What is climate change?
It doesn't exist.
Oh.
Yeah. It does exist. They
Is
do
it like,
exist.
Never mind.
It's
I'm
like
not
the
going to say
M&Ms.
that.
All right. So after that 15-minute preamble, which I'll cut half of, I'm sure. What did you think of the first batch of episodes 1 and 2?
So when you put 1 and 2 next to each other, 2 left a lot to be desired, but 1 was fantastic. Even for it being the first episode, which tends to be kind of slow because you're putting in a lot of backstory and whatever the case may be, I found that to be the most interesting episode we've seen so far. I'm laughing a little bit because you said that it was supposed to be something educational, and when you meet the cavemen, their lingo, it's quite funny to think that this was going to be an educational show. We'll get there later. But no, overall, it was already really exciting because I was into it, and the second episode left me a little concerned for what we're going to keep watching. But overall, it was fun. I mean, you have to appreciate that this was in 1963. It's not going to be modern television, like we're used to. There are going to be differences, and I find that really endearing and really interesting to watch. Again, just because it's different, right?
Right.
Even their banter is different.
It's British.
Indeed. Hold, please.
Yeah,
Drink
sure.
break.
My God, you're the loudest.
I know. I
drinker.
just figured you could put it at the end.
Oh, great.
Show the people who we are. What did you think, Pants? Well, this is your second time around, right?
Right. So I have seen Classic Who in its entirety once before. My husband and I watched most of it together. He fell off around the fourth Doctor. I continued, and it definitely has its ups and downs. This first episode, or this first story, is probably the one that I was just kind of dreading getting past.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. No, I mean, the second story is called The Daleks. So, yeah. So
I'm really excited to see like Daleks then versus now. That's going to be really exciting.
it's something.
I know. I'm genuinely stoked because the creators of the show now, like the people who are directing it and creating those special effects and just what they look like, are going off of these, right? Because it has built up to this.
I mean, down to the voice.
So hilarious. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it.
Well, we have a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So
well,
calm down.
okay.
Anyway, I love the first episode, as you said. It's introducing the companions. It's introducing Susan, which is the Doctor's granddaughter. It's introducing the two companions, Ian and Barbara. And it's kind of giving you an idea of what this show is trying to tackle. Like Barbara's a history teacher, and Ian's a science teacher, and that's kind of what this whole show is doing, is science and history. And
thank God they got paired up, right?
Just happenstance.
Happened to be looking for Susan together.
They really seem like they want a bone.
Isn't it so funny that like
the
to me
sexual
the thing
tension
that
is
struck
insane.
me about this, I hate you so much.
It
but
is.
the acting is so very different, but the thing that got me was she was like, well, this is the address the secretary gave me. Like, you're just giving out these kids information, and then a teacher feels safe enough to just like go to that person's house, and it happens to be like an abandoned, what did they say, just like lot.
It's a junkyard. Yeah.
And then they're like, let's go back. At that point, like, I would have turned around. Okay, Susan, take it.
All right, so let's get into the actual breakdown of the episode. So it's opening on a really foggy black and white night, as it were, and because color didn't come in until the third Doctor, so.
And that's another thing that I'm really enjoying. You have to do certain things with black and white film for it to like really pop. So that's kind of fun to watch too. Yeah.
And it's this is my last tangent before we actually get started, but it's very interesting that just knowing, and I told you this before, but how they had to film this. They only really had one or two chances to get these scenes, and it was very much like a stage play where people would just kind of be off to the side waiting for their cue to come in and let the actors do their thing. And there's a ton of mess ups throughout, especially the first Doctor's run. Yeah, you'll notice people forgetting their lines or making things up, and it's kind of like quaint thing. Like,
yeah, I think it's really interesting because people take advantage of the fact that if you mess up on this take, just as I have done about 5,000 times, we can cut it.
Yeah.
But, before you have limited resources, limited funding, like we don't even know if people are going to like your show. It's not tech savvy enough that we can have like a little pilot of people and just decide like, there's just a lot of things going against them. And it's cool that this show was still successful even with all those hiccups.
Oh, for sure. Like it was almost, they were ready to actually cancel it after this first story. And then the Daleks came, and people got super hyped over that.
Yeah.
So they saved them. So as I said, we open on a police officer kind of checking the locks on the outside of what is funny.
That whole scene. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I was trying to laugh off mic. Again,
You did a piss poor job.
I really enjoy watching what they had to do with filming, because even at the junkyard, it's dark. And I just dove in pants. I don't know why we're doing a premise.
We're not. I'm trying to get into the actual like beat by beat, and you keep sidetracking me.
I know. I'm sorry. It's because I just want to talk about it.
I know
make
you
it a
do.
fluid combo. Go ahead. You cut me, and I'll come in when it's due.
That's great. All right. We'll see how long that lasts.
Not long.
So again, third time being the charm, we see a police officer checking the locks on the outside of a scrapyard. It's like super foggy. It's dark at night, blah, blah, blah. And the doors kind of open for us as the viewer. And we go in and we see the TARDIS, which for anybody, for whatever reason you don't know, is a blue, black and white at this point, police box. And from there, after that brief glimpse of it, we go to Coal Hill School, which is where Susan, the doctor's granddaughter, is being taught by Barbara and Ian, her teachers. Coal Hill School is also the school that Clara teaches at.
Adorable.
So, just fun fact.
Yeah.
And the teachers are kind of discussing Susan. Like she knows her shit. She's really smart, but there's like random things that she gets wrong about like history, which concerns them, which inevitably leads them to try and see where she lives in her home life. Susan mentions to the teachers that her grandfather doesn't like strangers, and it probably wouldn't be, the best idea to have a sit down chat with him about her performance.
So they get this brilliant idea to go to Susan's address to speak to her grandfather anyway.
As teachers do.
I thought it was really interesting whenever they're showing the junkyard. They have to put their lighting in a very specific spot because cameras back then were not the iPhone 12 Pro with night vision.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. I really enjoyed, because as Pans has said, the story itself is a little bit dull. But what I'm enjoying is appreciating it for, again, kind of what it is. And I thought that was really neat. Yeah. I mean, they had to put a lot of thought into that, because if they only had one take, then they had to make sure they were going to be able to get everything in it. So then they find the police box, aka the TARDIS. They go around it, they're like, oh, that was what was so funny. I think it's Ian, and he puts his hand against it. He's like, do you feel that? And then Barbara puts her hand on it, and they say, it's humming. It's alive. Yeah. I was like, what?
It's a very, it's quite the jump.
It has to, but I mean, I think it has to tell you that, right? Yeah. Because people have never seen anything like this before. Whereas now, people figure out the freaking storyline, the plot, and the ending in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Right. This is pretty much the first of its kind at the time. You jumped over a little spot whenever they're in the school, and it shows Susan reading a book about the French Revolution.
Okay.
And it's just kind of her.
You're right.
It's just kind of the camera is just on her, and it's showing you the title of the book, and she's like, "Oh, that's not how that happened," or "That's not right." Yeah, and so that's kind of your first inkling that she has seen some shit.
You're right.
I know. And let's see. She also thinks that Britain's on the decimal system.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another... I honestly don't know what that means. I mean, I know that that's out of place. Like, that's what they're saying. But I don't know what they're on.
Is it decimal or metric?
I think they're on metric. And I don't know.
Anyways,
I think we sound like dumb Americans.
Yeah, let's just...
So sorry about
that. Sound less stupid. She also at one point said that she likes to walk around at night.
Oh, yes. Because it's...
and that's not a modern woman.
That's not a modern
unfortunately
woman. I think she says it's like spooky, or it's I forget how she described it, why she liked to walk around at night. But they think that maybe she's, as they're following her home, they think maybe she's meeting a boy or or whatever. But They go in. They're looking for Susan. As you said, they pass the TARDIS, and then they see it, they feel it. It's vibrating, it's alive, yada, yada. And you kind of hear some coughing off screen, and then the doctor comes in, and you see him for the first time. And Ian wants to go inside the TARDIS, and the doctor's pushing back on it.
It's because they said they heard Susan's voice.
Yes, from inside. Eventually, was it Susan? Susan comes out.
Well, she says, like, grandfather again, and opens the door, and Ian like, bursts in.
Right. And they
Which...
Yep.
Which, by the way, it made me laugh that they were so adamant about proof of life before they left. They were like, we heard Susan. You
From
better
this
show
box."
us.
And he busted in that thing. Like, if that were an actual phone box, he would have immediately hit the back of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with the force that he went in. Like, thank God it's huge. Or he would have a concussion.
Oh, my God. You're so stupid.
What? Anyway,
You're absolutely right. He
I
was a
know.
moron. Why would he go in there that hard? Break the glass and run into the phone?
Ian and, of course, Barbara are stunned as they see the TARDIS for the first time, that it is bigger on the inside. And there's a whole control room. It's like what we can assume is like fluorescent whites. Control panel in the middle, coat racks, and all this shit that doesn't belong. And it's very 60s futuristic.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. And Ian's, he's like, but it was just a phone box before. And the doctor compares it to how humans can fit a tiny building inside of a TV.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first. They don't actually say it's bigger on the inside. I don't know when they start saying that, but that's what I was expecting. But it didn't happen. And the doctor is also calling the TARDIS a ship, which is not how New Who at least works. It's definitely just the TARDIS or the box or something like that. They're probing the doctor and Susan about what's going on, how is this possible. The doctor mentions that he's cut off from his people. He's in exile, and he will get home one day. Also, that Susan was born in a different time and in a different world. We don't know who Susan's parents are. I don't think we ever do, as far as the show tells us. We don't know who the doctor's children are, which would be her parents. I want to say there's maybe some like novels or something that might go into it. I don't know if anything's actually canon, but canon with Doctor Who is so fluid. Like, it changes all the time. Like, it's the opposite of canon. Ian's trying to get out of the TARDIS. He's trying to open the door with the levers on the control panel. Ends up shocking himself because he's a moron. Oh, Susan is trying to actually stay with her teachers. She trusts them. And the doctor's like, no, we've been found out, pretty much.
Right.
And he activates the TARDIS. And Ian and I think Barbara are both knocked out at this point.
Yes.
I
they
think
get like run
jostled around.
Yep.
Yeah, when it starts. And we also hear the TARDIS noise for the first time.
Which was fun.
The Vworpy noise. And it goes away. Poof.
Poof.
By TARDIS.
My TARDIS.
Just like that. And the next thing we see is it starts to appear in a different place. Looks like a desert area-ish. And it gradually appears in the middle of this desert scene. And the last thing we see of the episode is a human-looking shadow approaching it from the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
And we get the
intro for the next episode.
Yes, which is Cave of Skulls.
Yes.
So we do start episode 2 at the same spot the first one ended, with the shadow approaching the TARDIS, and we do actually see who the shadow belongs to, and it is a sad-looking caveman.
Yep.
This is Zaw, right?
Correct.
Okay.
No. The one that they show in the beginning is Cal, because Zaw never makes fire, is what I wrote down. So I think they show Cal first, and then regardless, Cal and Zaw get interchanged a lot because
They
they both
do.
look the same.
Okay, yeah, especially
so-
like later down the line when they fight, I couldn't tell who was winning because they
Yeah.
looked the same. So yeah, from Sad Caveman, we see the inside of a cave where there's a bunch of cave people trying to make fire with what looks like bone, and they're
And ash.
Yeah, they're very unsuccessful, and they refer to the ash as
Dead
dead fire. Yeah, which is kind of cute. There's a woman there, and she asks, where's the fire that Za makes? And another one says it's in his hands. Za screams at a bundle of sticks, and one of the other cave people says, well, maybe Cal should leave them. Maybe Cal should lead them. So we kind of see that there's these two kind of conflicting forces between Za and Cal, which, as you said earlier, are two cavemen who look identical.
Yep.
Really no distinguishing characteristics.
No.
I think one of them's hair
they
is
tried
longer.
to put one in a lighter colored fur and one in a darker colored fur, but if I had known that to begin with, then I might have been paying attention.
Sure.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Because they look so much alike and because it's black and white, it definitely it takes some concentration.
Yes.
But yeah, so back at the TARDIS, we see inside where Barbara and Ian are waking up. It shows that the doctor, as you said, mentions that the urometer within the TARDIS is reading at 0.
Which has to be a mistake.
Exactly. 'Tis not, though. Ian calls the doctor Dr. Foreman. The doctor responds with Doctor Who. And that's the first in a line of kind of us really not knowing who the doctor is. Like,
right.
He's not, since they assume that since he's Susan Foreman's grandfather, he has to be Dr. Foreman. He's not. Ian wants the door open. He says that there's no way they went back in time. And the doors do open, and then Ian shuts his trap because he's wrong. And they are not in the junkyard anymore. And Ian is just consistently wrong. And they definitely set him up to be kind of the leader of the group. Even though, of course, the doctor is the title of the show. Susan is his granddaughter, but they give Ian a lot of screen time and a lot of leadership abilities, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they really played into the damsels in distress for the women.
For sure.
Yep.
I mean, Ian is definitely like straight white savior.
Yes.
Guy. So once the doors open, Ian's shocked. They hear like birds cawing in the background, and the doctor steps out and is immediately alarmed that the TARDIS still looks like a phone box. It's never, I don't know when the chameleon circuit comes into play, but the TARDIS, we're led to believe in this episode, is supposed to change appearance depending on its surroundings. And he says it's like very disturbing that it's staying a phone box. And we see, from a distance, I assume Cal, the sad caveman, is watching the doctor as he starts collecting samples of the earth that they're on. And Susan also mentions that she's alarmed that the TARDIS didn't change. She's telling Barbara and Ian that it's been an ionic column before and a sedan chair. Which I'm not 100% on what either of those are.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I assume an ionic column is what we see later on as the Master's TARDIS. It's just like a silver column. That's the only thing I can think of. But it's been an ionic column and a sedan chair, whatever those are. Ian is slowly starting to admit that he was wrong, and he's asking Barbara, he's like, who is he? And again, Doctor Who. They're really ramming home that that's the name of the show. We see the doctor putting plants into a pipe to smoke it. Which I want to pause there for a moment because what the fuck? I don't think this ever happens again, that we see the doctor smoking or trying to smoke. But he is definitely like landed in this yearless place, and his first order of duty is to smoke some shit.
He was testing it.
Sure.
Like OG Kush.
Fair. As he's trying to inebriate himself, he is attacked by Cal.
Or Zaw.
Or Zaw, or just another British caveman. The cavemen have accents already, which is interesting.
To say, because I know this is coming next, but the political game of creating this fire was real rough to watch. The continuous back and forth of Cal make fire, Zaw make fire, Cal make fire come out of his mouth. No, it's lies out of your mouth. It was rough.
That was a good caveman impersonation. I felt like I was there.
Well, and the other thing too is like they had to make the cavemen
British.
Very well.
White.
No. Very rural. Very
Keep trying.
Very
Primitive.
primitive. There we go. Yeah, make them very primitive. But there are certain things that they shouldn't know if they don't know what this is, but they do. If that makes sense.
It doesn't.
There are some things that they talk about that they should not know what it is if
like
they
astrophysics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole conversation between Cal and Zaw about astrophysics.
I don't know. It's just the way that they speak. They really had to give the audience like the context clues.
Yeah, they really
to
go
feed it
hard
to
on
'em.
like less word do trick.
Yes.
Like yeah.
Yes. I don't remember if it was in this one or the next one, and I'm sorry, I've already seen both. But you know, an example is like, you know, they had skins on their feet. And hands.
Like shoes is what you're describing. Yeah.
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 And their faces weren't fierce. Like, let's just throw fierce into their vocabulary.
Well, I mean, granted, they weren't saying fierce like RuPaul uses fierce.
I mean, yes.
But
yeah. Maybe
Susan's was kind of fierce.
I guess they're emotionally very intelligent.
I wouldn't even give them that much. But anyway, Doctor's attacked and taken. The rest of the gang finds his belongings. Susan is panicked because grandfather is gone. Mm-hmm. And apparently
Susan
was
freaking out.
And she's like, he didn't get his pot fix. And he's going to be super grumpy. That's probably why he's grumpy the rest of the time.
It
because
is.
He's not smoking.
He's like, this would have been so much easier.
Hi. Ian comments that the sand is nearly freezing.
Yes.
Which I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I don't know.
It's not really brought up again. Back at the cave, it's established that Zaw is the son of a great fire maker, and that the orb will show him.
Which we never really...
They do, and I caught it what orb means, I think, in the last episode.
Oh, well, then I can't wait for you to tell me when we get there.
I will.
Okay.
But yeah, they do keep mentioning orb will do this, orb will do that. And he says that he's going to have to spill blood to make people bow to him. Which, I mean, Zaw equals Trump? Zaw.
Yeah.
Before his time. He could have been president now.
I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
There were a couple things that I didn't like about this episode. And one of them being whoever, what is the girl's name that hangs around Cal? Oh yeah, it's H-U-R, her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So hers dad says, my daughter is for the leader.
Yeah. What's your problem?
I hate it. I know. I just hate it. Awful.
Oh.
And there was one point where something got said where he will remember and always give you meat along the lines of, I think her is saying it.
Okay.
About the orb teaching him. But anyways, Yeah, he will remember and always give you meat. My comment has to do with the 4th episode, and I realize you have to take that out now.
All right.
I'm going to shut that.
It's pretty nonsensical, so I probably would have taken it out anyway. So the doctor, unconscious, is delivered to Zaw in the cave. And I assume it's Cal that is telling Zaw that inside and about the doctor. Inside, he's full of fire, smoke from mouth, fire from fingers. Mm-hmm. I assume, speaking of the fact that the doctor was smoking, so smoke from his mouth and fire from his fingers would be matches.
Yeah.
So they automatically think, the doctor is some, not god, but like he's a fire maker. Right. Yeah. Cal and Zaw argue over this and that because that's what they do. And the doctor wakes up. Cal immediately claims the doctor is his. Mm-hmm. The creature is mine, is along the lines of what he said. Zaw says that he's going to take the doctor to the Cave of Skulls and force him to make fire. And the doctor says he will make all the fire they want to not be afraid of an old man. The doctor immediately goes for his coat, trying to find his matches to prove that he can make all the fire they want. And they're not there. Likely because he was attacked and dragged like an animal.
Matches were probably lost somewhere on the trail.
Yeah. One day they're going to find them and be like, Zaw fire maker.
Are they going to know what they are?
Nope. They'll probably eat them.
And start a real fire within.
Jesus. Good job, Tina.
Thank you.
Yep. This is what you're in for, folks. Cal, when the doctor can't find his matches, Cal is begging for the fire. Doctor says he can't. And then out of nowhere, I don't know how they found him, but Susan and Ian and Barbara attack the cavemen before they can presumably kill the doctor. Mm-hmm. Again, how they found their cave, no idea.
Nope. GPS probably.
I don't think GPS works in year 0.
Probably TomTom?
That's also GPS. And we actually meet Thomas much later.
Yay!
You've seen the episode. It's in Matt Smith's era. Oh, that's such a good episode.
It is.
Thomas. Yeah, so Zaw orders them all to be taken to the Cave of Skulls.
Mm-hmm. And it stinks.
It does, because there's like rotting people.
Yep.
That's why it's a Cave of Skulls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they leave people there to die.
Yep. Just leaving their skulls.
Just their skulls.
Yep. What happens to the rest?
We don't know.
They use it to make fire.
Oh, yeah. He was doing a bone thing in the beginning.
Yeah. Boning.
So I find the doctor to be kind of fun, but also a little pathetic. Oh. So I'm excited to watch 3 and 4. I guess to me, the doctor that I have in my mind, again, is like David Tennant and Matt Smith, who are very confident.
Sure.
And even when they get into a pickle, like I trust them. And I just don't know this doctor yet. And so far, he's just crabby. He doesn't like to give the right answers. He won't talk to strangers about his personal life. So I probably wouldn't follow this man. And he has no idea how they ended up where they are.
To counter that argument, I will say I often don't give people straight answers. I don't talk to strangers about my history. And I'm often crabby.
But I've known you for a really long time.
I'm like this to strangers.
It must be really hard to be your acquaintance.
I don't know. How did you feel 16 years ago?
In love.
When we...
I found my best friend.
Man. Awesome.
I didn't put bulletin noise play by play, but I'll know for next time. Pants, what are your closing thoughts on this?
We're not to the end of the episode yet, so there's no closing thoughts yet. You need to take better notes. So they take him to the Cave of Skulls. Zaw claims the woman, her, as his wife. Mm-hmm. There's an older cave woman who I'm not sure that we get her name, but...
Just the old woman is how they refer to her.
Okay. So she says, there were leaders before there was fire. Fire will kill us all in the end. You should have killed the 4 strangers, so kill them now. So she's hardcore as shit. and yeah, give zero fucks.
Yeah.
We see the whole gang tied up.
Dothraki blood.
Sure. Yeah. This was the origin story. So we see the whole gang tied up in the Cave of Skulls. Ian complaining about the stench. Right before the episode ends, they notice that all the surrounding skulls have a hole in the top. So they were beaten.
Split open.
Yeah. That's where we get to the end of the episode, previewing part 3, Forest of Fear.
I was a little nervous because in Stormtroopers, there's that giant gelatinous brain looking thing that literally sucks up your brains.
Are you referring to Starship Troopers?
Yep.
Okay.
What did I say?
Stormtroopers, which never got their own movie. But continue.
Whoa. Yeah, but anyways, when I was a kid, that haunted me because the idea of sucking my brain out of my skull like a freaking straw made me really uncomfortable.
Well, you know
also,
they don't have
like
straws.
Huh?
They don't have straws.
The thing that he put inside of that dude's skull, totally a
We're
straw.
talking about cavemen
Okay.
who do not have straws.
But there's a beast. So what if the beast is a big gelatinous brain that eats your brains and that's why the skulls are open?
The beast is literally like a hog.
I'm really over you.
All right. So anyway.
I did. I got nervous.
All right. You seem to have half enjoyed it-ish.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I
Very
did.
cool.
I enjoyed the banter. Like I said, the second episode was rough because I feel like the conversation between Cal and Za dragged on for too long.
Mm-hmm.
I understood. They both have no idea what the heck they're doing.
Sure.
And they both want to be a leader.
Yep.
I am excited for 3 and 4 because that means we're one step closer to the Daleks.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. Just got to get through some more caveman shenanigans. So, yeah, that wraps up the first episode.
Huzzah!
So, yeah, next week we will be covering parts 3 and 4 of The Unearthly Child and Unearthly Child. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, hopefully Tina's more prepared next time. So we'll see how that goes.
Huzzah!
Yep. So thank you all for coming back.
Yeah.
Whoever stuck around this long.
Yes.
It can only go up from here because
Agreed.
we're very unprepared, even though this has been in the works for a bit. We're getting back into the groove of things.
It's a slow start.
Sure.
Because...
Just like the show.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are mimicking the show. When the show gets good, we'll get good.
Yeah. So a couple weeks. So yeah, we'll if all goes to plan and we actually get through the entire classic run plus the 89 movie of Doctor Who, Doctors 1 through 8, I will likely have a toddler. We're not even close to being pregnant. That'll be fun.
Sounds like forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you can get the cat shit smell out of here by now.
I hate you. I'm limited on space.
Our Twitter handle is Time Vworp Cast. That's VWORP Cast. Time Vworp Cast.
Adorable.
And you can see how I'm doing on Wordle. And my general thoughts on different movies and shit. And it's really just my personal one that I've rebranded for this podcast.
Huh.
So
Nice.
thank you for agreeing to do this again.
Yeah, if you're still listening, we love you.
Yeah, I mean, I was thanking you personally, Tina, not everybody else. I already thanked them. So thank you for agreeing to start a very long process that I do hope we actually finish.
I don't actually think that I understood how much time I was going to have to commit to this.
Yep. That was part of the plan. Thank you guys, and we will see you next week. Please subscribe.
Or stay subscribed.
Stay subscribed. Please don't unsubscribe yet. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify now. You can rate on Spotify now. That's been a change in the past 6 months.
Huzzah.
So yeah, please do, and recommend to anybody who maybe would like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Or, if you're too lazy to watch the actual Doctor Who episodes, which is fine. Just listen to us. We give the best parts.
See you next time.